8.6 miles. This says 9, that says 8.6, whatever. Okay guys, so we're actually on the Freedom Fighter. And this is going to be the third time that I do this. Third time I do this video. First time I did it on my FZ07, the file was corrupted. Second time I did it on my FZ07, I didn't have the Freedom Fighter. And now I have the Freedom Fighter. And I'm glad to announce that the front brake is not completely fixed, but it stops. So, she still slides a little bit, but it is better than what it was before. I'm going to do a walk around here in a second. So we have 9.6 miles, 10 miles on the Odo. So I just want to do a quick walk around. I'm going to put the nice part of the bike in the sun. Here's something making a noise. So as you can see, the heads-up display. If you can't tell, there's what is it called? Backlit brake controls. It has a 5-volt, 3-amp charger here. I think that's a USB-C. I don't know. I never looked under there. Yep, USB-C there, and then just a USB there. Like I said, 4 o'clock. This is the bike. Freedom Fighter 200. This is gonna be what I would call my first genuine ride. The last ride I had was 7 miles. I went to go get some Zen, because you guys know me, love the Zen. And so I'm actually going to ride it today. I got about 30 minutes to kind of just fuck around about on it. I already did, out of my neighborhood, did a little bit of low speed stuff. It's okay. As you guys can see there, we have a Lonson engine. It's a 197. And I'm going to tell you guys the story and the update of, what has been going on with this bike, me and the owner. So the last time that we spoke, I had mentioned to the owner that I wanted the front brake fixed. He wanted me to sign an NDA to return the motorcycle. So I told him no, I would not be signing an NDA, and that I would be keeping the motorcycle. I wasn't having myself silenced for his personal gain of not having my opinion on the internet. So, I don't know, like a week went by, and I had posted that video. I didn't really do much or say much to anybody. The video went pretty quiet for about a week. It had about 200 views, which for me is a lot, so it did pretty well in this scheme of like being on YouTube for me. And well, I was talking to another individual about how my comments and stuff on the main Facebook page were deleted. And I told him, yeah, I took screen grabs of this, that, and the third. He wound up getting aggravated at this notion and created a new Facebook page. At this point in time, I was not posting at all on the original Freedom Fighter Enthusiast Facebook page. I had just joined the second one, and that's where I started to list my complaints. At this point, the group was public to anybody on Facebook. So for me, it was super easy just to get on there and start telling people like, hey, these are the issues that I've had. This is kind of the communications I'm having with the owner. And we kind of all just started talking about things. We found out that the Freedom is a clone of the Wolf Striker 125, which the owner of Freedom decided to go on there and claim that we were wrong, and that it's a different chassis and it can't fit a 200cc engine, when all the specifications were identically the same. Then we did a little bit more research a little bit later and found out that this is a generic U5 chassis from the Chongqing Andes motorcycle manufacturing company. So it is a basic platform that they make to any person who wants to get them. They'll make the frame, and then you can put the engine that you want in there, which is what the owner of Freedom decided to do with this motorcycle. This is fine. This was not really a surprise to any of us who got the motorcycle, because as on our titles it said Chongqing Andes Motorcycle Manufacturing Company, or Limited, or whatever. So from there, the owner was replying to everybody in this group, trying to defend his reputation and claim that we were incorrect. And I guy said a pretty simple statement. He said, "What are you gonna do? Delete my comments?" Oh wait, you can't. And so, long story short, we started going back and forth on the internet, you know, and I was putting my stuff out on YouTube, and then I found out another individual had joined our group, but he had like previous information about the owner of Freedom Scooters. He had found out that this Freedom Scooters owner had procured a Facebook page of a maxi scooter group back in the day with roughly 40,000, 50,000 members, something like that in there, and started shilling his scooters on the internet. And this individual doesn't have a freedom fighter. He was just telling the story from his side of how he had this run-in with the owner before. And the owner had claimed, just like he did with the freedom fighter, to be, you know, lead research and development, doing things for the motorcycle or for the scooter that other people weren't, and that it was solely his product. Well, they wound up finding out that there was another importer of this same maxi scooter, and that other importer was selling it for $1,000 less under a different name. And so I guess the owner allegedly changed his tune and started banning people from the group in droves, just banning people left and right, left and right. And at this point in time, I had got into it with the owner of Freedom, pretty much telling him, you know, like, this is not right, I want this front brake replaced. And then I pretty much told him, hey man, dig your own hole. If you want to silence everyone, feel free to do it. I had reached out to him initially to see why I was banned from the group. And he was texting back and forth, or he was typing, and typing, and then he wouldn't say anything. And he was typing, and then he wouldn't say anything. And he was typing, and then he wouldn't say anything. So, at that point, he said, "We're not doing this anymore." And I said, "I didn't do anything in your Facebook group. I don't deserve to be banned." The reason I didn't want to be banned from the Facebook group is because it had a lot of crucial information on that Facebook page as far as maintenance, like how to do oil changes and the updates with the motorcycle, which he has continued to post updates in there, and that's fine and all. There was an individual who had posted about the suspension. This was not just a regular individual. This is a guy who makes premium quality products for the Grom and a lot of minis, right? So this guy's a manufacturer. He can make any dream that you have come alive and come to fruition. And he had a customer bring in a freedom fighter, and he took that suspension apart, and his words, not mine, he claimed that the suspension was really bad. It was, he said, one of the worst Grom clone suspensions that you could get. He posted the reasons as for such, and, you know, back and forth with the owner and the Freedom Facebook page, and ultimately the post was taken down, and that individual then joined the other group. And so at this point, I was banned, a few other people were banned, people that were like in the Honda Grom groups, some of the admins of the Honda Grom groups, and a few other people that, you know, were just in there to see what the Freedom Fighter was about, because the owner had been posting about the Freedom Fighter a ton in other groups, you know, claiming that it was a Grom killer and it was going to be the next best mini and all this kind of stuff. So they had joined the group, they had seen some of the issues that were going on, and they were making comments, you know, just like an open forum should be, and they were swiftly removed and banned from the group. One of those individuals is an admin of a group that had 30,000 Grom users, and at this point in time my video was still live, and so he wound up saying, hey, post it to the Grom group, let people know, right? People were super interested in this bike, you being one of them, and it seems like you might have got a defective product, so, you know, post it. So I did, and at this point in time the video started growing in size about my issues, and a little bit more information started coming out about the owner of Freedom and how he used to sell GTR exhausts that were made in China and weren't the best quality. So people were really kind of just down this guy's throat. Well, push come to shove, he wound up making a post in his main group stating, hey, I'm going to replace everybody's suspension, whether it be internals or the forks. And to me, that spoke volumes, right? If you're willing to do the R&D and get better suspension, that means you genuinely care, right? 100%. You care about the product that you're putting out. You care about everything that's going on, in which I could see I could see, you know, that needing to be done, especially with that post that was made. A lot of people complained that this front suspension was too soft and dangerous. And he, you know, said in his post that he agrees that this front suspension is too soft and that he's going to be shipping everybody who bought a 2024 new front forks. Or not front forks, but he said, you know, parts to repair or fix the issue. So that means a lot. I mean, it really speaks in droves about the issue at play. Well, so speaking, at this point, he had banned me from the group, and then after I told him to dig his hole, I said, dig your hole, dude, dig it. He decided to block me on Facebook, which is fair, and from there, he went on to make a Facebook post about me specifically in the main group, saying that I had a list of issues. He had offered the return with an accompanying NDA, you know, so he did put that in there, which I was surprised, and then said that I turned down the offer, and that I was he didn't say that I was a problem child, but he said, you know, that I was a disgruntled customer. But one thing that really stuck out to me, that really aggravated me and made me really mad, was he said, harassment, blackmail, slander, and misinformation will not be tolerated on this page. Okay? Specifically in the post talking about me. Not once did I slander, harass, spread misinformation, or blackmail him in any sort or capacity. Never did I ever. I didn't say, I'm going to post this on YouTube and your bike's gonna go downhill. Never said anything of that nature. I told him from step one that I would be reviewing the motorcycle as a consumer and putting what I found on the internet. It is not my fault that he shipped me a motorcycle that's hard to shift. Okay, it is not my fault that he sent me a motorcycle with a busted fuel line. It is not my fault that he sent me a motorcycle that sputters at low speed. It is not my fault that he shipped me a motorcycle with a weak front brake. Now, he had claimed in there that he doesn't know if I intentionally or unintentionally damaged the front brake when I bled it. But I sent him the video of my first ride, and he claimed that that was perfectly sufficient braking power for a motorcycle. And at this point, even right now, 32 miles an hour, right, we'll get it up to 40. If I grab his front brake all the way in, it did well there. This is a significantly better front brake. I would have rolled 100 to 200 more feet. But that was full front brake. I pulled that lever all the way into the handle. Any other motorcycle that I have, if I were to do that, I would go end over end, right? So anyway, speaking with him, he wanted me to ship back the master cylinder of the old motorcycle, which I happily did. I recorded me removing it, and I just for my safety, right? So he can't claim that I intentionally damaged the motorcycle when I bled it. He shipped me a whole front brake system, so from the master cylinder all the way down to the caliper, sealed in one go. So at this point, I wanted to take me out of the equation, and I went to a local shop called Twisted Cycles. Twisted Cycles is more formally known as S&S Motorsports. They just had a not a rebranding, but new ownership, but the same mechanics. I have never worked with S&S or Twisted Cycles before. I had talked to them briefly before, but I had never worked with them. So the brake master cylinder was shipped directly to them. They took the master cylinder and installed the master cylinder, the line, and the caliper all in one foul swoop. They then said that the front brake master cylinder was very spongy. So he bled it. He said he bled it 8 times. He said with a vacuum pleater, traditionally, multiple times of each. Right? He did mechanic stuff. I don't have a vacuum bleeder, so he did mechanic stuff to it to try to get it to where it hits a brick wall. So I don't know if you guys have ever ridden motorcycles, but when you grab the front brake, it should activate, and then from there, you should have a point of kind of no return, right? Where the pressure is on and you are applying the front brake, right? This master cylinder never reached that point. It was always able to be pulled all the way into the handle, and it never like reached a thing of no return, right? So even with one finger, I can make that touch there. So this is today, by the way. So today I got this motorcycle back from the shop. This is my first time riding it. I have put more miles on it now. Well, maybe not, because I got it back with like 9. I'm at 15. I had 7 miles on it. So in a few miles, this will have been my longest ride on the Freedom Fighter. And he said, you know, I can't get that front brake to hit that point of no return, that brick wall, as you would say. And I was like, you know, whatever. At this point, I'm not going to ask him for another front brake. I don't think it's the front brake's fault. I think it's the part. I think that the master cylinder is not big enough. And I talked to the guy who worked on the bike. You know, they did a test ride after they worked on it, as per normal. And he said, hey man, this bike's just really lean. That's what's going on. That's why it's sputtering. And it's one of those things, I don't know if he's right, I don't know if he's wrong. He's a mechanic. He said what I should do is once I do my first oil change, I should take this spark plug off and I should test, I'm gonna go right. I should take the spark plug off and see how the color. He goes, I can guarantee you that spark plug is gonna be white as shit, is what he said. Verbatim. It's gonna be white as shit. And I said, well, I don't know. But yeah, so that's it. That's my update on the Freedom Fighter. I'm still banned from the group. He said in his Facebook post that he stands by that, and that me as an individual should be banned because I had things to say about the bike that weren't in line with everything that everyone else was saying. And he can do whatever he wants, right? It's his group. He did the same thing to the Maxi Scooter group. The Maxi Scooter group just wanted, how do I say it? The Maxi Scooter group just wanted upfront, clear things that were being said, and that obviously was not the case. They were obviously weary of what he was saying because of the fact that they found another scooter that was identical to his, and he started banning them for it. I've never been over here before. But yeah, so now I'm riding the Freedom Fighter. Let's talk about the bike, right? The power down low is kind of not there, and I don't think it's supposed to be there. I think since this is a 10,000 RPM revving bike, when I'm going 3,000 RPM and I give it the beans, it doesn't have anything, and then right there it hits, right there it hits, right there it hits. So as long as you keep this thing in the high revs, it'll move very fast. This being said, engines that rev very fast generally have what we call blow-by issues, meaning that air is going past the piston rings because the piston is moving so fast, there's so much compression that the bottom of the crankcase pressurizes. If this happens, there are things put in place like an oil-water separator that separates that liquid and all that air from getting into your oil, which is smart. Engineers smarter than me created stuff like that, so that's cool. Well, this bike allegedly was having massive blow-by issues. That being said, there's been a couple modders out there who have created blow-by passes, things to alleviate blow-by and to alleviate blow-by and do a modification to the bike so it doesn't have as much blow-by issues. The owner put on his Facebook page on the first group that they did a 9,000 RPM plus test on this engine for 2 hours and it didn't explode. Now he did put the video of it sitting there at 9,000 RPM for, you know, about 20-30 seconds. I don't know if it was actually on there for 2 hours, but if that's the case, that's a really, really, really good engine, right? I would not put my FZ07 engine at its, you know, 500 under its red line for 2 hours and hope for it to not explode. So if that is truthful, that's amazing. So the blow-by issues that are being spoken about on the other group, the front suspension issue is allegedly being shipped to everybody. He said to take our time and wait for the parts, as it takes time to R&D, takes time to ship over from wherever it's being manufactured, and then time to get to your houses. He said realistically 3 to 4 months, which is awesome. And it's a very, very, very big surprise for me. At this point, I don't have a review of the bike. It revs really high. It definitely has power up top. Down low is kind of a slug, kind of a slouch, which is fine. each engine, you know, each to its own engines. But the first gear, pretty lackluster, so we're gonna come almost to a stop here. We're down to, you know, crawling speed. First gear all the way down. It only really gives you some beans after about 6,000 RPM, and the engine really does come alive at that point. Down low when we're putting, very slow, very lethargic, very lethargic, very lethargic, and then once we get up, it really starts to pull, and it's a 200cc engine. I'm not expecting a FZ07 engine or a 919 engine out of this thing, but it's interesting. It's a different bike. It's something that, you know, what we were wanting to play with and ride and put miles on. So at this point, I don't have any more updates for the Freedom Fighter ordeal. I have my bike back. It has a better front brake, and when I say better front brake, it is significantly better than what it was before. And that's where I'm at. I just now need to ride it, need to do long rides. Right now, I definitely can feel that my ass is numb, but that's part of riding motorcycles. I don't care too much about seats and all of that jazz. It's, you know, I modified my Grom seat because that's how I am. But I think that seats come as they come. I need to figure out what is rubbing back there, because every time I come to a stop, I can hear something. But for right now, I got a motorcycle that is operational, and that's super exciting. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching my video. That was my update. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and this is a Freedom Fighter 200 EFI.